here. It's saying preparing to live stream meeting. And it might be live now, who knows? It's always a little bit of a lag. So let's see. All right, I think we are live, Yee. So exciting to have you today. And welcome everyone who is tuning in to our 15th Color Bold Spotlight. So we've had 15 so far, starting in September of 2020. And this is the 15th one. It will mark the first one of the year. So I just want to recognize that today is Tuesday. I just think that's the coolest thing with all the twos going on. And so everybody knows about this, obviously, from kids to adults. It is February 22nd, 2022. And it's falling on Tuesday. So I just want to recognize that. And I just want to say, I'm Mia. You've seen me before. I work for UW-Madison Division of Extension. I focus on economic development with entrepreneurs of color in Northeast Wisconsin. I mainly partner with Color Bold Business Association. And today I'm here with Yee Lee, who is an entrepreneur, community leader, adult services and engagement librarian, and she's a vital partner to Color Bold. Yee is the owner of Little Siam in downtown Neenah and Bowl 91 in downtown Appleton, named after the year 1991 when Yee and her family arrived in Wisconsin after having spent time in a refugee camp in Thailand. It is really an honor, Yee, to be here with you today and to learn about your business journey. How are you doing today, Yee?
Hi, I'm doing good. Thank you, Mia, and thank you, UW Extension. Thank you to Color Bold Business Association for asking me to be one of the, entrepreneur storyteller for today. I'm so excited to share about, how I got started, what were some of the challenges along the way, and what are my future plans that I have my businesses.
Yes, exactly. And you are wearing a lot of hats, right? But we are focused on your entrepreneurial hat today, Yee. And so let's just talk about just an open-ended question about how your entrepreneurial journey started and what was your motivations to start your restaurants?
Yeah. So as Mia said, full-time, I am a adult services and engagement librarian. So that's my 8-hour job that I do at the Public Library. Outside of my full-time job, I operate 2 restaurants with my husband. He is actually one of the co-owners for the business. And how we got started was about 12 years ago when my mom started. Actually, it was actually longer than 12 years ago. She's been in her restaurant for 12 years, but she's been part of the Appleton Farmers Market for about 17 years. And it all started at the farmers market where my mom was selling stuffed chicken wings so that she could be able to raise enough money to send her 6 children to college. So that was how our journey of working in the restaurant industry started. And at that time, I was going to college. I didn't have any, dreams or goals of becoming a restaurant owner because I knew how much hard work it takes to operate a restaurant, and especially for a full service restaurant. So at that time, my husband was taking care of our 3 young kids while I was going to school. And he was actually a stay-home dad. So he wasn't working at that time. And after I graduated from my master's degree down in Madison, my husband and I, we moved back to Appleton, the Fox Cities. And because when we moved here, he had to look for a new job. And because he was a stay-home dad for 5 years, at that time, the job market was really bad. So he couldn't find a job. Everywhere where he applied, they were looking for work experience. And even though he had a degree, he didn't have the work experience that they were looking for. So the only other experience he had was working in a restaurant. So my husband and I said, well, if we can't, if you can't find a job, then we have to create a job for you, and we have to build a business. And the only thing that we knew at that time was how to run a restaurant. So the right opportunity came for us, and that was how our journey started in the restaurant industry.
Wow, such an important story you're telling me. I think it's probably shared by a lot of people that may be watching this, in terms of, you know, if you don't find a job that meets your qualifications, then, you know, you need to just do something for yourself and your family. And that really does linger into the next question about support. Like, what kind of support did you have, you and your husband, when you started your business? And that can be anything from formal business support, you know, any loans, grants, technical assistance, to the informal support that I already hear that you have in your family. How did that look like when you got started?
So we honestly did not know about any of the programs or fundings that were available to us, because we are, you know, first generation business owners. We had experience helping my mom start up her business, but at that time, she used all of her life savings to build her business. So she didn't actually go to a traditional bank or go to another funder to help her. She actually did it all herself with the support of the kids helping her. And so, you know, I took the same route as she did because I didn't know any better. You know, I didn't have options, and I didn't know what were the opportunities that were available to me. So at that time, my husband and I already kind of started selling funnel cakes at the farmers market. So we saved those money to be able to purchase our first business. And the first business was located inside City Center Plaza. And at that time, it was just like a grab and go deli that was only open during lunchtime for a lot of you know, working downtown employees that were in city center, and it had perfect store hours for us. We were open at 8 until 2, and then it was great because we still had young kids, and by 4 o'clock we would be home with our kids already. So when we first purchased that business, we actually worked with the owner there, and he was kind of like our mentor. He coached us how to operate a successful restaurant, because his operation was different than my mom, and I learned a lot from him. He actually did a land of contract for us where we had 5 years to repay him back. So that really helped us as a new business. And so we were very fortunate to be able to find the right business at that time to purchase.
Yeah, wow. And I hear that so much, Yee, when I talk to entrepreneurs. It's the importance of mentors and having that support system. And it's not always those formal programs that makes a difference. It's those relationships with other people that have similar experience that really help.
Yes.
And how would you say, I understand this is a very big question, but how do you feel like your businesses have grown and changed through and what was the year when you started your business in downtown Appleton, the city center?
That was 2015.
Okay, so in the last 7 years, so it's been like 7 years, and now you have 2 restaurants that are larger, right, than the initial.
Yeah, so far we have operated 4 different restaurants. 4 different restaurants, but the current ones that we have now are Little Siam and Bowl 91. So those are our 2 current ones. But I have learned so much throughout the entire time that I've operated every restaurant. All of our restaurants were different concept, different food, and the operations were very different. So I learned new things each time I opened a new business. And when we opened the second business, which was Bow 91, that one was a full service restaurant. So we actually learned so much. We thought we knew everything about restaurants, but no, we didn't until we started the one in downtown Appleton. When we started that one, wow, it was like a nightmare, like a roller coaster for us. I didn't get to sleep until 2 in the morning was when my husband and I got home, because we were still trying to figure out everything in the restaurant. We only had a total of 5 employees at that time. We didn't know we were going to be crazy busy when we first opened. And we had a general manager with us, but we only had 2 other kitchen helper, and then we only had 2 servers. So we didn't have manpower to operate the restaurant, and there was more demand than what we could do with only 5 employees. So at that time, I remember we had to post up now hiring signs, and within a few weeks, we were able to hire more people to help us operate the restaurant. And yeah, since then, we have been able to keep growing our staff and be able to also hire more assistant managers to help my general manager operate the store.
Yeah, and Yee, just by knowing you, and you do share sometimes what you things that you're doing with your business on social media, and I know, what are some things that you've done for your employees that may be different? It seems like your retention is actually pretty good in terms of keeping employees, and I know during the pandemic especially, that was a very hard time. What are the things that you feel like you're doing to support your employees?
So thank you for asking that question, Mia. It's such an important question right now, with especially there are staff shortages everywhere, not just in the restaurant industry, but you see it everywhere in for-profit business and nonprofit as well too. For us, what we have been doing a little bit different, and I'm truly proud of the work that we have been doing to be able to recruit and retain our staff, because in the hospitality industry, and especially specifically for restaurants, many people come in because it's only a part-time job for them. They need extra income. They don't see it as a career, but it's only a job. So how do we help these employees change the job into a career? So we have to be able to bring in benefits and bonuses to be able to retain them. Usually you will only see these compensation package in franchise. Like you would see it more in franchise because they're bigger, so they can afford this. Healthcare is something that is very expensive for employers to be able to do. So for us, it was a big change for us to be able to bring in healthcare benefits, bring in a retirement plan for our employees. And then also we were offering daycare coverage too, like costs. We were covering daycare costs so that the moms that we hire could continue working for us, because we would rather pay for like the daycare costs than having to keep, hiring more people and retrain, because when you train new employees, it costs more than being able to retain your current staff and pay those costs. So for us, we've been able to do that. We also have a lot of high schoolers that work for us. So we're able to offer $2,000 scholarships to help them pursue higher education after high school. So we offer that for them. We do downtown is always so hard for parking. So, we started offering parking pass for them so that they don't have to worry about not being able to park, and that we try to eliminate barriers as much as
yes, that's what I'm hearing. Like you're really meeting your staff where they're at in their life, whatever barriers they're going.
Small family-owned business, to us, it's so important that we're making sure our staff are living a quality life in the community, and not only that we're supporting them by giving them a job, but we're also making sure that their well-being and their mental health is taken care of as well. So restaurant work is a lot. It requires a lot of hours, but to me, I always make sure that all of the staff have a well-balanced work life.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Yee. You're already getting some questions here on Facebook. Kim Yada, similar to what I was asking, do you have any points on how to hire good staff? Like how to find them?
Yeah, you know, we don't have a HR person who works with us. Our general manager does all of the hiring. Now our assistant managers help with the hiring process and the training as well. I also help them sometimes too. But for us, like I said, to me, I don't need individuals to have the qualification or experience to do the job. We don't hire staffs to operate our back kitchen. We just expect them to be able to learn from us and to be able to have that passion to do the work that we train them. That to me matters more than having a degree. You can have a degree, but if you don't fit in with the team, the culture, then you know that doesn't work for us. We just like giving opportunities to everybody, and if we hire them and they come in and it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. So yeah.
Thank you, Yee. That's really helpful. Like having that willingness to learn is more important than having all these qualifications. Now, Alvin is asking two things here. First, he's saying, what plan are you using and how much was it to acquire that plan? I'm not exactly sure. Do you know, is it healthcare, Alvin? Maybe you can clarify, or do you know, Yee, what he's getting at here?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what plan he's
Alvin, maybe clarify in the chat box, and then he's asking about the packages. How do you learn about these packages?
So we work with you know, they have healthcare, like they have like brokers or like sales rep who work for like different networks. So like for us, we go through United Healthcare Network. So they have a sales rep who we work directly with. And for her, they're able to find like the best package that will meet, you know, our employees' needs. So then for our package right now, we cover half of our employees, you know, costs for like their health. And then they take the other half. So it's like a match that we do.
Okay.
Yeah. And then for like the simple IRA, that's like a match as well. So however much money that they contribute, then we just have to do a match for that. And those actually really do help our employees to stay longer with us, because my general manager used to work in, you know, his whole life he has worked in the restaurant industry, and he said he has never been given those, you know, compensation package before. So to him, that matters a lot.
Yeah. Well, it seems like you're really recognizing it. You know, this is a whole person and they have a whole life, right? And to recognize, to understand the incentives for staying, working with you, it sounds very sound. Now, one thing that I noticed in your more recent social media posts, Yee, there's a new, I think it was a new mural at Little Siam, and around, is it a new mural, the one with a beautiful bowl? Okay. And it was like a neatly decorated bowl of food, and it says, "Food tells our story." Now, in what ways do you share your story through your restaurants and the way and the food that you cook, or that you cook through your...
That mural, I've actually shown, have a lot of different murals in that's located in the store. So the recent one that I posted, that is actually is going to be on the second floor of Little Siam. That's going to be like a private room for, you know, a private room for people to either rent out, or they can have like special events in that room where they can purchase food from us, or they can also bring in their own food. So that's another mural that we put in there. The mural that you're talking about, Mia, excuse me, is actually at Bowl 91, where it has like the the bowl, and then it has like some Hmong textile patterns, and then it has like rice fields. That one, I had it done about 3 years ago, shortly right after I opened the restaurant, because that restaurant, I didn't want to just specialize in one type of Asian cuisine, but I wanted to be, focusing on a variety of Asian flavors and things that inspire me from trips, growing up, from other well-known culinary chefs and what the food trends are. Like, it's just all inspirations. So that restaurant is a lot of focus on what I love to eat, what what's kind of like currently trending in the food industry right now. So like at that time, Japanese ramen were so popular in big cities. So when Tong and I went to bigger cities, we were able to get a really good bowl of ramen. And in the 5 cities here, we couldn't get any at that time, except we were able to get it from Katsuya. It was like a seasonal item from their. So we were so inspired, and we wanted to bring it back to Appleton. So that's kind of like how we started that restaurant, where our main focus is still on Japanese ramen, but we also want to add in other different dishes from different parts of Asia. So
you probably have a story behind all of the dishes that you serve at your restaurants.
Yep. So some are kind of like flavors of what I grew up eating, but some are just like, I just love it, and I love food. So I can and share it with people in the community.
I love that so much. Now, is there anything that you are particularly proud of in your business journey, Yee, that you want to share with other entrepreneurs?
Yep, I am super proud that when I first started the full service restaurant industry, I didn't have any knowledge about how to operate the back of house and the front of house. Without my general manager, I wouldn't have been, this where I am today. So I want to thank him for challenging me, because he was actually the one who challenged me to think differently than my mom's restaurant. He's the one who challenged me to think differently than when I first purchased my deli, the grab and go lunch that I did in City Cafe. So he challenged me, and for me, I was willing to take on those challenges and change for the better. I have learned so much from him that I feel I have been able to adapt to those changes really quick and trust him to help guide me to where my restaurant should be today. And so I feel like we are very successful where we are right now. We're growing at a faster rate than what we can do, but it's all good things. And there's a lot of things that we're already working on for the future, and I can't wait to share all of that.
Yeah, and I'd love to talk about the horizon for you, Yee, but we do have a question here from Alvin again. He's saying, if I'm a subcontractor and wanted to hire my contractors on full time, what would be the process?
Alvin, I'm not sure, because we actually do 1099 for employees. We actually have some employees where like our web designer or graphic designer, he's kind of like a subcontractor, like not our employee, but we pay, if we pay them more than 5,000, then we have to do a 1099 for them. So we have those situations, but the work that I think your business does is a little bit different than what we do. For us, most of our employees are on W-2s, so they're on payroll.
I wonder though if there are some things that you already mentioned, Yee, that might help in terms of getting people to stay. You were talking about retention, various benefits, but I'm not sure if that would exactly play into this question. That's helpful to know. We're getting close to the half-hour mark here. Can you share any lessons learned so far, Yee, in terms of things that you would want to share with your fellow business community, who maybe somebody might watch this and want to start their business, but they're not there, or they want to grow their business, but they're not really at that point, and they don't know maybe how to move forward? Any lessons learned that you want to share with other entrepreneurs of color out there?
Really take the opportunity to do your research, and know the organizations that do support, economic development, or have services that are available that's free. For me, I didn't do any research on that. I knew that, okay, I have some money saved up, that I'm just going to take this money, start a business. I highly recommend you, if you get funds, don't do the saving part, because that's just me not doing my research and not taking the opportunity to meet with organizations that can support me. So I truly recommend you to do your homework, and just take time to go meet with people who can support your business, or offer to look through your business plan for free. Like I know SCORE does that. CAP Services are awesome programs. The library has free resources for you to use. There's books on how to start a business. So really understand all those free information that's in your community, and use and utilize them. What else? There was something that I thought of, but I forgot. Yeah, so just and if you do want to start a new restaurant, like for example, like for me, I did seafood boil, right? And so I didn't know if I was going to get like fresh seafood here. So I had to really know, okay, we're in the Midwest. Are we going to have access to these type of products where the West Coast does? So really understand your market and your vendors before you even start your business. So I think, yeah.
Ramona's giving you a shout out. Do your research. Great words of wisdom. Yep, that's right. And I think it's good to mention there are organizations that are, continuously sending out information or creating lists of these free resources that Yee is mentioning. I know Colorbold has a nice list of service providers on their website, and I can put that in the chat box later on too. Now we are getting close here to the half-an-hour mark, but I do want you to get some space, Yee, to share about what's on the horizon for your business ventures and where you see your businesses in about 5 years or so.
Yeah. 5 years from now, I actually do want to expand to Green Bay. I want to open a shop there. I'm already actually working on that with my team. That's something I want to do. I just want to open a ramen shop. So if you go to Japan, you see that all they do is an open concept kitchen with a few tables, and the people are making ramen right there. In the next 5 years, I hope that we'll have a big enough facility, a kitchen facility, to be able to make our own noodles in-house and be able to distribute those noodles to all the stores that we will hope to have here in Northeast Wisconsin. So that's kind of like my 5-year goal. And I want to do, I want to challenge myself to do other things other than restaurants. So crazy, but my husband and I are actually going to start investing in properties and start being able to go into that as well. So I'm just excited.
Yeah, that's awesome, Yee. I mean, I just feel like, as long as I've known you, I know you are a role model to a lot of people out there. So I think this spotlight has been so valuable. I think it's been so nice to have you in the spotlight for once and to really hear your story. And I know half an hour is really not enough, but at least we've gotten a little bit under the surface. So thank you so much, Yee.
Yeah, and what I want to share, Mia, is...
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, really share your story. You know, as a business owner, we all have a story to share of how we started and why did we start. So to me, starting was really about my husband. And then now continuing to do these business is for my children. So, you know, I feel like growing up, I had nothing. And now I want to continue building this for my children and being able to give back to the community that has given back so much to me. When my family and I arrived here as refugees. So I just want to thank you, Mia, and thank Color Boat Association for giving us a platform to share our story, and make sure to share your story because your story matters.
Thank you, Yee. That was a beautiful way to end today. And I'm just so glad to have had you in the spotlight. And thank you everybody who tuned in and who will be tuning in, because we will have this recorded on our Facebook page. So thank you again, Yee. Thank you so much. And we'll connect soon.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.